I've always been cautious with online dating, but last month I swiped right on someone who seemed different. Her name was Eliza, and her profile was captivating. Beautiful photos, intriguing bios, and a warmth in her eyes that felt almost familiar. We exchanged messages for a few days. Eliza was charming and attentive, and soon we moved our conversations to video calls. Each call was more engrossing than the last. Her laughter was infectious, and I felt like I was talking to someone I'd known forever. One evening, she suggested we meet in person. I was thrilled. We planned to meet at a quaint cafe downtown, but as the day approached, she seemed to hesitate. She suggested we move the date to my apartment instead. She said she wanted to be alone with me, away from prying eyes. The idea sounded intimate, so I agreed. The night arrived, and my apartment was prepared. I lit some candles, set up a cozy corner with blankets, and made sure everything was perfect. I was both excited and nervous. When the doorbell rang, I nearly stumbled over myself to answer it. Eliza stood there, her smile radiant, but something was off. Her eyes seemed darker, almost hollow. I shrugged it off, attributing it to nerves. We settled in, and the night began to unfold. As the evening progressed, Eliza seemed distant. Her responses were curt, and she avoided eye contact. When I brought up a topic she'd previously been passionate about, she'd suddenly grow quiet, staring off into the distance. I dismissed these oddities as stress or exhaustion. As we ate, I noticed a peculiar chill in the air. The candles flickered, and a draft seemed to flow through the room, even though the windows were closed. After dinner, we moved to the couch. I put on some soft music, hoping to ease the tension. As the night grew darker, the room seemed to grow colder. I reached over to adjust the thermostat, but it was already set to a comfortable temperature. Eliza suddenly stood up. "I need to check something," she said, walking towards the bedroom. I followed, curiosity piqued. As I entered, I noticed her standing still, staring at the mirror on the wall. I asked if everything was okay. She turned to me, her face pale, eyes wide with an unsettling intensity. "There's something in the mirror," she whispered. I laughed nervously. "What are you talking about?" But as I approached the mirror, I felt a shiver run down my spine. Reflection didn't look right. It seemed distorted, and in the reflection, I saw not just Eliza but something, or someone, standing behind her. A shadowy figure with hollow eyes and a gaping mouth. I blinked, and the image vanished. "I don't see anything," I said, trying to sound reassuring. Eliza's eyes filled with tears. "I've been seeing things for days. I thought coming here would help. But now I'm not sure if it's just me, or if something is really here." Before I could respond, the lights flickered and went out. The room plunged into darkness. I fumbled for my phone, turning on the flashlight. As the beam cut through the darkness, I saw Eliza standing motionless, her face now a mask of fear. Cold, oppressive presence filled the room. I could feel it pressing against me, making it hard to breathe. I glanced at the mirror again, and the shadowy figure was back, more defined this time, reaching out towards us. Desperate, I grabbed Eliza's hand. "We need to get out of here." But as I turned towards the door, I realized it was locked. Panic surged through me. I tried to force it open, but it wouldn't budge. The room seemed to constrict around us. Eliza's voice was barely a whisper. "I'm sorry, I shouldn't have come here." Suddenly, the mirror cracked with a loud shattering sound. The shadowy figure lunged out, and the room was filled with a deafening roar. I could feel its cold grip around my throat. In a final act of desperation, I reached for the door one last time. With a surge of adrenaline, I managed to break it open. We stumbled out into the hallway, gasping for air. The hallway was eerily quiet. I looked back at my apartment. The door was shut, and there was no sign of the nightmare we had just escaped. Eliza was gone, and I was left alone in the darkness, with only the memory of that horrifying night and the reflection of something that was never meant to be seen. I never heard from Eliza again. I moved out of that apartment soon after. But sometimes when I look into a mirror, I still see that shadowy figure lurking just behind me, waiting for the next person to glimpse its terrifying presence. And so, I can't help but wonder, was Eliza the one in danger? Or was I just a pawn in a far more sinister game?